Wait a minute. Oh, hello. Okay, we're ready for step number 3. Let's go ahead and get started by copying step number 3 from the main project to our sandbox. And let's make sure, let's go down to an empty code cell here and copy that into an empty code cell. Now you should have in your sandbox, you should have all the functions that have been created previously. So step 1 and step 2, those should be completed, and you also have the code where we called those functions and created these variables like deck and rank, and we created player hand and computer hand. Okay, so now in step number 3, we are going to go ahead and code that here. So the description says that we're going to create a function that plays one turn of the game, and the function is going to be called play turn. This involves each player playing the top card in the hand into a list called center pile. It's going to compare the two cards and determine a winner or a tie. It will move the center pile of cards to the winner's pile, either player pile or computer pile. Each turn, cards will be moved from the hands to the center pile, then to the player or computer pile. The function will be interacting with global variables player hand, player pile, computer pile, and center pile. And the function takes no arguments and returns nothing. So in this is an example where we're going to create a function that will only manipulate global variables. So that's all this function is going to do. So let's go ahead and get our function defined. Def play turn, and it has no arguments. So again, nothing inside of our parentheses, colon. All right, so let's go ahead, and first thing we need to do is declare our global variables. And we can just go ahead and copy those from up here. So I'm going to use my keyword global. And let's just copy all the global variables that we're going to manipulate here. Okay, so that's done. We've declared our global variables. Now we need to remove the top card from each hand and place in the center pile. All right, so let's go ahead, and when we remove a card from each hand, let's save it in a variable. So, and we'll do it one at a time. So let's do the player first. We're going to save this in a variable called player card. And we're going to simply pop the card from the player hand. Player hand dot pop. And we're playing the card on top, remember, which is the last card in a list, which is index -1. And then we simply will just append that card into the center pile. So it's center pile dot append player card. Okay, so the card's been removed from the player's hand, and then it's been added to the center pile. And we'll do the same thing for a computer card. So computer card equals computer hand. Make sure you're popping it from the correct collection. Computer hand dot pop -1, and then add that to the center pile using the append method. Okay, so we've removed the top cards and we've placed in the center pile. It says print a message to show the cards optional. Okay, so let's create a little formatted string to print out. So let's print an F colon, so I'm going to use an F style formatted string. Player plays, let's just say player, and then colon, and then we'll do player card. And then we'll do, let's say, do a vertical bar, and then computer colon and computer card. Okay, and then let's set the end argument of the print statement end equal to space and then bar and then another space, because that will come in handy because we're going to print a winner later. So this way it will just print all on one line. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so there's a little statement that will print out what the cards were, and then it leaves room to print something at the end of that statement also. Okay, so the next section is we're going to determine a winner using if, elif, else structure, and we'll move the cards to the appropriate collections and print any messages. And it says, don't forget about ties. Okay, so we're going to use an if, elif structure. And the reason we use an elif rather than if else is because we have to account for ties. So there's three potential outcomes. The player could win, the computer could win, or it could be a tie, in which case the cards stay in the center pile. All right, so let's go ahead and create our logical structure here. If, and here's where we're going to use the rank dictionary. So we've created the rank dictionary back up in step number 1, and we can refer to it here inside of this function by looking up the rank of each of the cards that the player and the computer have played. So if rank player card, excuse me, that needs to be a square bracket right there, rank square bracket player card. So we're actually, player card is going to represent the key inside of the dictionary rank, and it's going to look up the ranking. So this will actually, rank player card will return the value, the playing value, the rank value of that card. If that's greater than the rank of the computer card, then what do we want to do? Well, let's print out a message saying, print, let's say, player wins. And this is going to print at the end of the formatted string that we created up above, because we use the end equals, that space bar space, and that's going to print the player wins at the end of that statement. Okay, so we'll print player wins. And then we also need to then go ahead and move the cards. Now, we have to be careful because the center pile is a list, and we're going to move, in this case, if the player wins, we're going to move all the cards in the center pile into the player pile. But since both center pile and player pile are lists, we don't want to append it because that will create a list of lists. In this case, we want to extend, use the extend method. We just want the contents of the center pile to be moved into the player's pile. So we're going to do it like this: player pile dot extend, and then center pile. So that takes the cards that are inside of the center pile list and then puts them inside of the player pile list. And then finally, we're going to clear out the center pile. So center pile dot clear. Okay. Now elif. And let's just copy the logical statement from here, and we'll just change the operator. We don't need to retype all this. Just going to copy this. And let's change this greater than to less than. So if the player card rank is less than the computer card rank, that means the computer has won. So let's go ahead and print that message: computer wins. All right. And then we can copy this code right here down. We just need to change the word player to computer. So I'm just going to copy this and change from player to computer. So computer wins, and then computer pile will extend from whatever's in center pile, and then we'll clear the center pile. And then finally we have our else clause, which let's just print it's a tie. Okay. So that fulfills all of the specifications of the play turn function. Let's go ahead and copy that. Oh, actually, let's not copy it. Let's go ahead and run it and test it first. So let's go ahead and run and test this code. So I'm going to shift enter to make sure I get no error from that. And then I'm just going to call this function play turn in the empty code cell below. And let's see, we got a little error. Let's see what happened. Name center pile is not defined. Because we declared the global variables, but we did not initialize those variables up here. We need to go ahead and initialize our global variables. So in this case, they're global variables, so I'm not gonna do it inside of the function. We need to do it here before we call the play turn function. So let's create our pile. So we have a computer pile, we have a player pile, and we have a center pile that we need to create. So I'm going to do that all in one like that, and then set those each equal to empty lists. Now when I run this code, there we go. Okay, so I got a result here. It says player 6 of clubs, computer 3 of clubs, player wins. So that seems correct. Let me run it a few more times and just see what happens. So there, player had 2 of diamonds, computer had 5 of clubs, computer wins. Okay, here's one where they both played a king, and that's a tie, and it says it's a tie. So it all looks good. Computer wins with an ace over 10. Okay, so that seems to be working. Our play turn function works. Let's go ahead and copy that code back into our main program. And this is step 3, so make sure we're only overriding the function code for step 3. All right, and then go ahead and save that. And that's it for step number 3. So stay tuned for step number 4. It'll be in the next video.